Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's another marvellous Monday evening, and you know exactly what that means. Tonight, we head once again to the Blackout Racing League for one last rodeo. Not just of this season, but of this year as a whole. 2024 will soon be at an end. And yet, Blackout has never failed to amaze. Each week, almost more bonkers than the last. Tonight, though, it all comes to a head. Welcome along to the broadcast of the Blackout Racing League. Look at that sexy specimen in front of you. I know. If he were real, I would snog him too. But that's weird. But anyway, the point is, it was made by my husband, Mr. Magico, who, donning the Mercedes outfit alongside current championship leader Tim Alele, they could win the Constructors' Championship today. Not only that, but there is also a Drivers' Championship to decide. Thanasi and Tim, the only two in it that can possibly reap the rewards of Season 17's crowning moment of glory. But they have to be in it to win it. They are currently both in it, but if Tim Alele outscores Thanasi in this first race of the evening, that will be championship done. Speaking of which, we are heading to Canada and Japan tonight for the final week of this frankly fantastic series and for 2024 as a whole, like I mentioned before. I know it says sprint race next to Canada. I know what you're expecting. Don't expect it. You ain't getting it. A sprint race literally means it's reverse championship order. So, knowing how the last sprint race went, which was a rainy Hungarian Grand Prix affair, Thanasi won that race and Tim Alele finished down towards the outer reaches, if not just outside of the top 10. So, perhaps another lifeline to be thrown in the direction of the man chasing the championship currently. But all of that is to come. Like I said, drivers and constructors to be decided today. And no, I am not driving. I'm going to leave that to everybody else to show you for this sumptuous spectacle. We have a few minutes to go before we then head to the Canadian Grand Prix. Can't remember when we did this last season if the Canadian Grand Prix had actually happened, so let's talk about it. While we are here, F1 2024 season as a whole is done. It's done. Lewis Hamilton no longer a Mercedes driver. Carlos Sainz no longer a Ferrari driver. Lance Stroll still a driver. Why? Why? Why is he still a driver? Could have gone any way round the gravel trap and decided to go through the sandbox and look where it led him in Brazil. I don't know why on earth they still try and fight his 08 money. Yeah, so that's no fun then, is it? But to answer another question for tonight, the drivers that are racing, it will be 15 in total, I believe. So everybody will score points, unless they do want me to drive, in which case there's a potential one not scoring points paying position, and then if Tim Alele randomly gets killed, so be the powers of the script writers of the Blackout Racing League, which will help to keep the championship open till the very last round. But if that for some reason is on the cards, then I guess I will have to drive, so we will find out what happens with that one. The standings going into the final two races, by the way. Tim Alele leads Thanasi by 71 points currently. Which I thought means that he already wins the championship, because it's only 33 maximum for a win. So hasn't Tim Alele already won the championship? Unless it's double points this round. Just me. But anyway, Constructors is where things get tasty, because McLaren and Mercedes, that's where it is at. McLaren chasing the Constructors' Championship instead of vice versa. They are 14 points behind. Given how consistent both Milo and Buck20 are, there is a very good chance they can come home with the Constructors' Trophy. But that will soon be revealed. They are flocking in thick and fast for this Blackout final week. I assume they just want some Christmas cheer and then to get on to the roast turkey and stuffing and get stuffed. Not in that way, but you know what I mean. 'Tis the season to get very, very fat, among other things. We have two Aston Martins. We have the Flying Scotsman of Terziak, who I must say I feel very, very sympathetic for, because he literally he commanded the Abu Dhabi race last time out. Thanasi wanted to win it on the track. Contact was made, and then, well, poor Terziak, that's all I will say. Might have come home with a podium once all said and done. Can't remember off the top of my head. But deserved the win. More than anything else. I don't even know, as I yawn, horrendously. It was a long weekend, I'll tell you that much. That and I'm getting ill again, which is probably not very fun. But I'm going to search up the Blackout Master Sheet. Oh, it's gone on to Season 15. That was a nice season. Anyway, Blackout Season 17. I want to know what the race results were in total. Has Terziak won a race. He did win a race. He won in Imola. He did win a race this season. Not only that, he also won in Mexico. So, he has won a race, and luckily it won't just be pain and anguish until the end of time. Timolele has won the previous 3 races, though. To give you a statistical standpoint, he's missed the first 2 weeks of the season, then taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 race wins this season, which is pretty impressive. And if he wins both races today, should he manage to do so, he will have won 13 races this season. Now, that is very, very cool. But it won't catch up to my 14 race wins that I scored in Season 15. So, unfortunately, you still have some chasing to do, my friend. I'm never going to let it go. I am 110% never going to let it slide. We do have one reserve tonight, I will mention. We have one reserve tonight. And his name is not John Cena. It is Swifty. Swifty joining the Haas outfit. It feels like Haas haven't had anyone driving for them this season. Only on a couple of crucial weeks. But otherwise, no one has donned the American Dreams outfit. But Swifty in the Haas car for this week. They are no longer driverless in the Blackout Racing League. And it's all the better for the series. We have just a few moments left to go. And then we will be underway for the final week of Blackout Racing action. Magico says he's nervous. Don't be. That's the worst way to feel. Don't be nervous. You'll be absolutely fine. This is your driver lineup tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 Mercedes. We have 2 McLarens. They are duking it out for the Constructors' crown. We have just the sole Alpine driver of Pure Tyrrek, who's finally back. Has been gallivanting around, holidaying, among other things. But he is back in the saddle and perhaps could ruffle a few feathers as we head into a reverse Canadian Grand Prix conundrum for the championship contenders, but otherwise a crucial opportunity for those ahead to get some very, very decent points and perhaps an elusive race win while they are at it. Weather permitting, of course, strategy permitting, safety car permitting, among so many other factors, but the point is, they are in it for the big fish. I will also say this much, you might have noticed my voice is slightly lower in pitch than usual, perhaps less enthused. I'm not less enthused, I promise you. I am 100% as ecstatic as I have ever been in the Blackout Racing League, but I do have some Christmas singing commitments that I have to do. And so I will give it as much as I can, but I'm not here to overdo it this week. He says, that probably won't happen. I probably will still end up overdoing it. Such is the excitement of the Blackout Racing League. But that is the plan. We shall soon find out. I've got plenty of the blood plasma of Christ. It is a cloudy and overcast day in the Canadian Grand Prix. The crowd is moving at 30 frames a minute. What is that? I'm hoping that's not on my end, because otherwise I've got a real problem on my hands. Please don't do this to me. Why are the load bars so slow? F124, don't you dare. That crowd member's absolutely loving life. Good grief. Imagine when the cars start moving, mate. He'd probably be in a coma. Anywho, it's a 35% race today. It's a one-stop shop here in the Canadian Grand Prix. A chance for me to actually crown Timolele champion. Or perhaps Stanasi will spoil the surprise here in Canada. That is all to come. But as we wait in the pristine pit lane, the anticipation grows, the atmosphere builds, and we will soon be underway with the final week of Blackout for 2024. What a year it has been, and so it shall continue. 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go, and it's 2 frames a second. That is not fun. DRS has been enabled immediately. I don't really know what's happened. It's gone straight to lap 2. What on earth is going on? What? Well, Jamie Tarquin's taken the lead. Right, okay, right, no. We need to sort this out immediately. What is going on here? Graphics settings, I promise you that... Oh, no. Oh, right. Oh, that's great. Why have you gone there? That's so dumb. No. No. I didn't ask you to do that. Ultra low. No. Oh, God. Don't go ultra high. I'll deep fry my PC if I do that. Ultra low settings. Did it do it? Right. No. We are not doing this. Not right now. What is going on? F124, do you want to stop doing that for me? I have no idea what's going on. Why is this so slow? Right. Tim's got a 10-second time penalty. Apparently it's a virtual safety car, but it doesn't look like it is. Right, no, this is completely intolerable. What? Okay, everyone's got penalties. Right, no. This is intolerable. I need to sort this out. This is ridiculous. Right. I think it's an F124 thing. It wouldn't surprise me if it is. Okay. Right, well, this is fun. I didn't expect to be doing teething issues or teething things in F124 at this early stage, but here we are. This is not part of the plan whatsoever. I've literally restarted my PC, so I don't think it's me. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't think it's my internet, because I'm streaming absolutely fine. And why is F124 taking 2 calendar years to load anything? I don't really know. Well, even the menu's slow. No wonder it's a complete absolute mess. Good grief. Oh my god. Right, I'm not even gonna lie to you. F124 is the slowest thing in all of human history. Don't really know why. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of the File Explorer. Because that's smart. Get rid of all of you. Has that made a difference? I can't get back in. Oh my god, it's so slow. Yeah, quit. Just quit the game. Don't bother. There's going to be some Windows sound effects. Don't bother. What an absolute load of horse on a plate. Tesco tremors have been sent through this blackout broadcast at this early stage. Did I think I was going to be sorting out teething issues at this particular point? No. No, I didn't think that at all. And I don't know why F124 is running so slow, nor why my PC might potentially be making it run slow. It absolutely shouldn't be. The menus were fine before I started streaming. They were fine as I went into it. And then my PC decided to deep fry itself. So we load again, and hopefully it works. I don't know who leads the race. I imagine it's probably still Jamie Tarquin. 1 million people have got 10-second time penalties. It went straight from lap 1 to lap 2. So that in itself has really confused me. So perhaps my game has just shat itself. Who knows? All things you don't get anywhere else in a broadcast. Right, well, the menu screens are loading fast. That's at 60 FPS. Will the actual game be at 60 FPS? I don't know. Hello, F1 Alex. How are you doing, my friend? Good to hear from you. This is not really where I should be. I should be in a lobby, and I was in a lobby, but my...
We're checking, I'll let you know.
We are checking my graphics settings, and they're on ultra low. Am I... Yes, I am broadcasting. I absolutely am. Not that you can tell, of course, because it's a standby screen. But that's not really the point. The point is, woodlouse. An actual woodlouse has a better graphical depiction of F124 than my PC did about 5 minutes ago. So now I'm trying to load it in. I don't know whether it's got confused randomly. Probably has. Or it's an F124 issue, which also wouldn't surprise me. Right, join game. Please do not do anything booky. Otherwise, we're going to have a very, very, very long day ahead of us. Am I free Wednesday? I might be. I'll have to double check. I might be. I don't actually know at the moment. I'll let you know on that front. For now, though, we're loading into Canada for the second time tonight. And my desk is made of wood. I have knocked it, so that is probably a good thing. Let's find out. Please load in, and please don't screw it up. I'm warning you, F124. There's a lot riding on this. Oh my god, I have FPS. Right, this is the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie Tarquin is our race leader. As you can see, there are yellow flags everywhere. I have no idea why. I haven't even got a track map. There's a yellow flag at the hairpin because Swifty has had a huge problem. It's gone immensely wide in the American dream. It's descended into a gnarly nightmare in a matter of moments. But he's down all the way in 14th. There is a gulf, to put it lightly, between Dirkleton and the front few cars. Jamie Tarquin in the other Red Bull is absolutely flying at this early stage. He's in P1 for Red Bull. It's then a 5-second gap, and then we got Buck 20 and Terziak potentially going into combat. Make that Buck 20 and J-Lane out of the exit of the hairpin. It's got an almighty exit and deploying every single ounce of electrical energy. DRS open, I have no doubt. He's got nothing left to fight with but pulling to the outside. That will leave him exposed to Terziak, who looks to the inside. Oh no! Somehow not contact made, but there was between the Williams and the Ferrari. Thanasi goes round. Timalele goes through the open corridor, says thank you very much. The partial Red Sea parted, and Timalele did not need a second invitation, but squirreling hugely out of the first couple of corners. The championship leader leaving nothing to chance in terms of pace, but it's squeaky bum time. A 10-second penalty for the front two in the championship, as into the left-hander. Tim can't get the rear of the car under control. My God. Right, that bit of excitement over and done with. Let's just calm down and assess the situation. So, constructors-wise, Mercedes are laughing. They're only 6th and 7th. There's another yellow flag, as I think Stark has probably let Thanasi go. And, well, in most respects, I don't blame him. Must have tried to move into the chicane, and then contact was inevitable. Magico, though, is right on the back of this little train. Terziak got past Buck 20. He's going for the podium places. And before they even make the chicane, J-Lane slots in behind, and the Flying Scotsman surges through into P3. Great stuff for the Aston Martin driver, who is looking to bear much fruit after what was a sweet week turned sour, particularly at Abu Dhabi. The Aston Martin driver looking for even more this week. And what a way it would be to end the 2024 campaign with not even just a podium, but a potential race win at that. Jamie Tarquin, though, with a 5-second gulf at the moment, and looking to build on it. Some corner cutting time penalties in the meantime, but both McLarens have it, and, well, both Mercedes have time penalties. Magico just has the corner cutting time penalty at the moment, and hanging on to DRS of the cars ahead. Said to me before this race he was going to go full send. He was going to leave nothing on the table. Normally he's very respectful, leaves plenty of space. This week, not to be, though. He is going to be ruthless. Ultra aggressive. It's going to be a corker. Slam, though, slowly but surely actually catching Jamie Tarquin, particularly on the straights. At this penultimate straight, caught up 4 attempts, and then continues to catch through the final chicane, but he has got the angry Aston Martin behind, waiting to pick up the scraps. Currently in P3, and Slam continuing to catch up that gap at the moment. Was 5 seconds, now has been caught up by half a second. Just in the previous lap, not even that, in the previous sector. He's absolutely flying. Meanwhile, for the McLaren of Miller and even Tyrrell in the Alpine, it's been a Canadian conundrum. Well, a Canadian catastrophe, actually, because on lap number 8, they find themselves so many seconds behind the rest. They have all made a pit stop, so it must have been for damage sakes. But even so, they have got to get up the road as quickly as possible. Slam continues to just chip away at the Jamie Tarquin gap up ahead as a 3-second time penalty for Big Swimmer in the other Aston Martin. One giving chase, the other, well, also giving chase, but significantly further down the field. On board with the Flying Scotsman then, has got plenty of battery to burn and DRS to deploy. And so down the penultimate straight they go, has got to flick it through the chicane. Slam turning on the burners in P2 in the kick Sauber. And Terziak taking it very gingerly through that final chicane, just to ensure there is no problems. There is a problem, though, for the Alpine. Tyrrell is down to P13. No idea if he dropped it by himself or if there was contact. Either way, no consolation what the outcome is. He's plummeted down to the penultimate last in the pecking order as Magico gives way dutifully to Timalele in the other Mercedes car. Both Mercedes working well together as Tyrrell's had another problem. He's spun in the infield. On the grass, a spot of lawn mowing won't endear you to pure pace. And pure Tyrrell is having a torrid time so far. Jamie Tarquin, with a 3-second time penalty, throws the cat amongst the pigeons because Slam heads into that gap and is closing it constantly and ever more quickly. Swifty, meanwhile, happy to be here in the Haas car. Has the Red Bull of Jamie Tarquin catching up, but he's not too worried about that. He's just driving around, lapping up the atmosphere, surveying the scenery. It's all a part of the Blackout Racing League bonanza. Terziak closes in once again, but even with DRS, Slam has got him completely in check and has still got a decent bout of battery to boot to make sure he can continue to defend all the way through these first couple of sectors. Another 3-second time penalty for Mr. Swifty has dutifully got out of the way of Jamie Tarquin. But there's sliding at the rear. It's brutal for these drivers. A lot of them struggling with the rear of the car as Terziak doesn't need a second invitation. A mistake from the Kick Sauber. And now it's a drag race down to the chicane, but Terziak, he's cunning. He's a wily old fox. One person opting to stay behind, the other one not giving anyone the time of day. Timalele slicing and dicing his way through the opposition into P4, but that will leave him exposed to the DRS threat on the next straight, which is what Terziak is deploying now. DRS, ERS, expelling that electrical energy to provide hopefully an excellent outcome. Lifts off before the chicane, has to get it nice and hooked up, and now can drop anchor and throw it into the slipstream. And with all the slipstream and DRS, it's an academic move down the inside for Terziak. Slam's going to fight this, though, and brilliantly defends in the Kick Sauber car, unleashing all of his defensive diligence, spons, but coping immensely well is the Kick Sauber car. It will lose them time to Jamie Tarquin. He won't be complaining one bit. He'll be saying, continue fighting, lads. That's all I need to see. Meanwhile, did I just see a spot of rain? I feel like I did for a moment. Yes, I have. The heavens are opening here in Montreal. I'm just double checking now to make sure it isn't actually me having a stroke. And no, it isn't. It is actually raining here on lap number 11, hence why the medium runners perhaps have gone just a... Oh, no! Magico's gone... Oh, God! There's been a huge issue! Magico in the wall. He got a penalty for corner cutting. It's even worse than that. And Aston Martin at Terziak ascends even higher up the ranks. Into P2 he goes. And now just has one car between himself and the fearless front of the field. I don't know what I was going for there. One car between himself and the front of the pecking order. One Mercedes in Dreamland. That of Timalele still has a 10-second time penalty to serve. The other Mercedes has front wing damage and egg all over his face. The visage de la oeuf for Mr. Magico here on lap number 12, although we'll brave out the storm because he knows that the wet conditions will arrive shortly. Jamie Tarquin, though, has shipped tons of time. He's put Terziak right into DRS range. Here on lap number 12, we reached the fulcrum point. We're over 12.5 laps to the good. And as the Aston Martin driver hones in on his target up ahead, very much predatorial instincts being deployed by the Aston Martin driver, and electrical energy being deployed at that as they head down the straight. J-Lane and Magico must have had a problem because J-Lane now 7 seconds down on Timalele. It wasn't that big of a gap last time I checked. Has now got the Williams of Thanasi for company, and he's not going to wait around, not one bit, to the outside of the chicane. No histrionics, a 3-second time penalty, but he does remain ahead of the V-Carb driver. It was a contactless transaction on this occasion. Through goes the Williams wonder. The Ferrari faithful, though, of Stark, close behind still on those hard tyres. Still in a shout of very, very decent points. Hasn't got a time penalty next to his name. Is driving consistently. And Stark, honestly, my shoe-in for my most underrated driver of the season. Terziak gets ahead, though. He's managed to ascend into the lead. Didn't take him long, and with DRS, why would it? It's now up to James. Oh no! Slamming the barriers! And the yellow flag at the chicane keeps well out of the way of Thanasi, of J-Lane, of Stark & Co. But that is absolutely soul-destroying for Slam, who had been brilliantly fighting at the front. But now, the floodgates have opened, and Timalele is going to get straight onto it. Through he goes, past the Red Bull of Jamie Tarquin, into P2. Has only one car between himself and the front once again. But Jamie Tarquin not waiting around. He's going into the pit lane. Intermediate tyres strapped onto the rampant Red Bull. And we now wait and see what kind of pace he has at his disposal. The track looking just a little bit more moist than it did last time out. That's a disgusting way of putting it. But Jamie Tarquin will hope he can get ahead of Swifty. He doesn't really need to worry about that. Swifty gets well out of the way, partially because the dry tyres have been absolutely decimated in the wet conditions. And off goes Jamie Tarquin in hot pursuit of the cars ahead. We see what his delta is like to the Kick Sauber of Slam up ahead. Currently 7.1. It's not time. It is not time for the Inters.
Oh no.
Well, up at the front, it's a half a second gap. Timalele on Terziak. The Flying Scotsman has done everything he can, but it's going to be easy. He's put it on easy mode. It's an absolutely flying move with a flourish from Timalele, who goes from the back to the front of the field. Does have that penalty looming over his head, though. Whatever the consolation might be for the time being, he knows he has the pace. He's proved to all of us he has the pace. Now he's got to get up that road as quickly as possible. Lap number 15 of the Canadian Grand Prix. As you can see, it is slightly spittling with rain. Here on the street circuit of Montreal, Timalele and the Mercedes, the championship leader, our race leader, as there's another 3-second time penalty for Jamie Tarquin. Terziak in P2 in the Aston Martin, Thanasi in P3, chasing the championship, but it's slipping through his fingers in this particular race. Speaking of slippery, that track surface is going to continue to evolve into a rather slippery state all the way through. Terziak did get DRS on Timalele, which is good news for him. Still nowhere near time for the intermediates. A little bit of a sheen developing on the track in terms of some wetness, but the rain hardly getting any heavier. There is no reason to peel into the pit lane, as Jamie Tarquin has probably found out. Magico, what has he done? He's still on the hard compound tyres. That's the long and the short of his proceedings, and even with front wing damage, is catching the Red Bull ahead. Fantastic news for him. Slam, meanwhile, has recovered from, well, the ripping feeling of despair and is now back in DRS range of these two cars up ahead. J-Lane at the front of this little train that is now developing. Buck 20 in the McLaren, sandwiched in the middle of what is otherwise a radioactive sandwich. DRS down this short little straight for the McLaren. Stark just going through on the front shot there, but you don't really want to overtake it. You want to wait until that next DRS zone to capitalise, get the rear wing flap advantage, and then sail past on the next two straights. There's a double DRS zone here. It's not like J-Lane playing games with Buck 20. It is all racing and respectful racing at that. A little bit of a nibble at the diffuser there on J-Lane, just to signal a statement of intent from Buck 20, just to let him know he's there. But now with DRS, absolutely no ERS though. Tell you who does have it though, that is Slam. Round the outside of Buck 20 he goes. The outside line left open for the Kick Sauber driver. A 3-second time penalty for J-Lane. As Buck 20 bailed out of that particular battle, deciding to opt for the pit lane instead. That's one way to not get involved, but Slam easily breezes through. When all is said and done, compromise J-Lane's exit at the chicane in more ways than one. And the hard tyre donned Kick Sauber car ascends into P5. And, well, it's little consolation given where he was earlier in this race. But either way, Slam can hold his head high. He knows he's got the pace, and he's proved it to us all today. And oh no, J-Lane has a spin on the right-hander. It really is getting treacherous and tricky out there. Not only that, loads of drivers experiencing problems with the rear tyres in particular at that section, where the car is like a pendulum. It swings so violently one way and then the other. It's such a helpless feeling. J-Lane does keep it pointed in the right direction without damage and remains comfortably in P6 at the moment. The question now is Jamie Tarquin reaping the rewards of the intermediate tyres. Through the hairpin they go. And, well, initially it didn't look like it, but gains the time again at the exit. What's it going to be for Terziak? It's going to be hard tyres. It's not going to be intermediates. Terziak gambling that the rain is going to stay light and that the track will not develop into a down spiral of despair. Out comes the Aston Martin Ace then, comfortably in P5. We'll get a juicy undercut on the dry tyres. Well, it's 17-lap younger hard tyres at that. But will it be the wrong call? Will it be a bold move too many? We shall soon find out. Meanwhile, Swifty has gone for another escapade at the hairpin. Now on the intermediate tyres. But through goes the McLaren of, is that Buck 20? No, it's not. It's Mr. Millo who goes through again, I believe, to lap the Haas driver. Just gaining his bearings this race, I believe. Mr. Magico, though, comes into the pits, decides the dry tyres are the way to go. Perhaps some constructors' plays to be had, as he will exit onto the track just ahead, well, actually quite comfortably ahead, of the McLaren of Millo. Just assessing the gap now between Mr. Timalele and everybody else. Well, onto the soft tyres goes Timalele. Are easier to get up to temperature quicker, such as the window and the abrasiveness of that tyre compound. Equally, though, they can lose temperature rather easily. The harder compound tyres will retain the heat more, but they are a bit of a pain in the backside to get up to speed in the first place. A 10-second time penalty still looms over the head of Timalele. Despite everything, Thanasi opting to serve his penalty in the pit lane and go onto the intermediate tyres. So, championship chaser makes a crucial gamble. Will it pay off? That is soon to be revealed. Can he get out ahead of Buck 20 first? That's his first mission and he hasn't. Buck 20 parks it ahead of the Williams driver, and that's the last thing he needed in his championship crusade. Immediately has the confidence, though, and fakes the nose to the inside. But 20 leaves the space. They remain side by side through the right-hander. A good amount of momentum for Thanasi. J-Lane, though, in the middle. There's a Red Bull of Jamie Tarquin. That's going extremely slowly. Thanasi just about manages to hold position. Remains in P5, but J-Lane on those soft tyres looking so racy. Down the inside goes the V-carb driver. Gets it stopped well in time and absolutely rockets out of the exit of the hairpin corner. So the soft tyres look to be the way to go. Intermediates incineration in these conditions. Perhaps there will be a last-ditch flurry of fastness from those on the wetter compounder tyres. For now, though, it looks like it's advantage dry tyres. Slam, by the way, now up to P4. What a legend. Go on, Slam. Timalele is laughing, though. He has that gap, 6.3 seconds to Terziak, and that is growing. But he has to have a 10-second gap to someone on an equal tyre compound and an equal pace pegging. That is stark. If he can do that, he will be the Canadian Grand Prix winner and crowned champion in rather glittering circumstances, it must be said. Terziak right in the front of the camera shot, pretty much. They're Stark in the background. There is nothing to separate them as they head towards the chicane. Swifty with another time penalty, by the way, which is not particularly ideal for him. But on to lap number 21 we go. It's Timalele from Terziak, from Stark in the Ferrari car, who perhaps has just given himself the hurry up a little bit, knowing that a win is 110% on the cards. Slam in P4, just happy to be here, enjoying himself. Jalen in P5, then it's Thanasi in P6, has a 3-second time penalty, still next to his name. Jalen has 6 seconds, but with the way the soft tyres are going at the moment, there's nothing that won't suggest that he can't do it. I'll let you figure that one out. Stark will now have the DRS assistance on Mr. Terziak. There's a yellow flag, and it's Tyrek who's... Oh, no! Tyrek's had huge problems. He's facing the wrong way. He's got nose damage. It's not a full nose that he's managed to damage. Voldemort's not very happy with that one. Towards the hairpin, though. Stark knows if he's going to win this race, he has to get up the road and get up the road fast. Deploying the battery to show... just that little sense of agitation. He knows he's got to make the move. And by the time they get to the chicane, he's gaining in the Ferrari. He's flying in the Ferrari. Stark through to P2 in the Canadian Grand Prix with just a handful of laps to go. He's now got to push like nothing else. In the final week of Blackouts, the Ferrari fairy tale could still be on. Has to remain in that 10-second gap. Tim Alele has driven an absolutely rapturous race. Make no mistake about that. But Stark, all he has to do is remain in range. And Terziak, if he can remain in DRS, it could be double trouble for Tim Alele, who won't even get the win. He'll be on the outer reaches of the podium. That is all to come, though. A yellow flag, though, in Sector 1. The McLaren of... not Milo. What on earth's going on? Buck 20 might have had a little issue. I have no idea. But Tyrek is into the pit lane. He's fitted on the soft compound tyres. And I think I see his problem as well, because visually, it looks like he's got positive camber on his rear tyres. And that's probably why it's not going very well. Oh, no! Some argy-bargy out of the pit lane. As through goes Derek Dirkleton into PA. He's been a bit of a quiet one this race, but he's been doing fantastically. As, oh, no. Milo's got quite the time penalty, it must be said. It's on the back of the Mercedes of Tim Alele, though. He knows what he's doing. Go on, Milo. Ruffle a few feathers. This is your moment. Tim Alele up 12 places, by the way. Started almost last on the grid. Penultimate last. And now finds himself at the very front of the field. 3 tours of the Canadian Grand Prix track to go, and this is what it looks like. Tim Alele P1, Stark P2, Terziak in 3rd, Slam is in 4th in a world of his own, J-Lane in 5th. Thanasi, though, has managed to get up to the back of J-Lane. So perhaps now it's time to pull the pit lane trigger on the intermediates, but there's surely not enough time. Meanwhile, Mr. Magico is on the move with DRS. He gets past the Red Bull driver and into P8 on the road. Goes the Mercedes man. That was marvellous from Magico. Remains ahead come turn number 1, and on the fresher medium compounder tyres, he is going to surely sail into the distance. But conditions are getting trickier and trickier. I believe DRS still enabled, but Thanasi just has so much superior grip. It's the retrograde effect for J-Lane, who will have felt like a god almighty when Thanasi first came out of the pit lane. Now he's going to feel very much like Plankton, because Thanasi, the predatorial great white shark, is swimming and sailing his way through. Still DRS enabled, but down the penultimate straight they go, and Thanasi breezes through into P5 on the road. Up at the front, though, as you can see, the gap. Well, Milo probably putting Tim Alele under immense amount of pressure. Stark and Terziak, as a result, are staying well within that 10-second window. Gap now down to 7.5. Stark's absolutely flying, can I just say. Meanwhile, this is what the fastest lap situ is. Milo has the fastest lap of this race. He will gain 3 points for the McLaren team. But Mercedes, ball is in their court to take the Constructors' crown. I'll have to do some calculating of results come the end of this race. Another yellow flag, meanwhile. Swifty might have had a problem. He's into the pit lane one final time in this race. Meanwhile, Milo is going for the move. This is for the lead of the race, little do you know. And through goes the McLaren man into P1-ish. As Tim gets a huge slide, and Terziak is going through on Stark. My God, the hard tyres aren't done yet. Let me tell you that for a fact. As Stark almost clatters into the wall of champions. Jamie Tarquin's had another problem. He manages to get it pointing in the right direction. But Terziak and Stark swapping positions and now getting ever closer to Timalele ahead. Not that he needs to do anything, of course. He can just cruise it home and he will remain P3 anyway. This, though, is for the race win. Stark versus Terziak. I would have thought for absolutely sure that the soft tyres would have held on at least a little bit more. But no, the hard compound tyres have wreaked havoc at the end of this race. And so, all it required was the Flying Scotsman to find his flow. And so he has. He didn't manage to do it at Abu Dhabi. It was an agonising blow into what was otherwise an astonishing drive. Today, though, he can put all of those qualms, all of the heartbreak from last week to rest. Timalele, though, comes through the final chicane. And what a season it's been. There are so many superlatives, you just run out of them. The Mercedes man has been marvellous all year to cross the line and crown himself champion of Season 17. But your winner in Canada, Terziak, takes another win in Season 17. A long time coming from the Flying Scotsman, but a fabulous flowing drive from start to finish. A reverse grid rampant run for the Aston Martin man. And after the agony of Abu Dhabi, Canada was nothing short of sensational. Slam comes home in P4 with Thanasi in P5. J-Lane in 6th. Kudos to Thanasi. He pushed Timalele all the way. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. J-Lane in 6th. Buck 20 in 7th. Mr. Magico will come through the final chicane to give Mercedes such a strong result going into the final round in Japan. A marvellous piece of driving from Mr. Magico. A sensational sound barrier break from me. But then it comes to Dirkleton to cross the line in P9. Big Sam will round out the top 10. And then we just wait for Jamie Tarquin and Milo. Jamie Tarquin weaving across the line. Milo weaving across the line with a flick and a swish, but no fishtailing there. Magico says one bad corner for him. I wouldn't worry about that, my friend. Mercedes have one hand on the Constructors' Trophy. Driver of the day goes to Timalele, and other than ignoring yellow flags like a naughty Tim, you have to agree for the most part. But with a flourish on the podium, Terziak bringing the acrobatics and also bringing the heat in an otherwise dampened Canadian Grand Prix. It's another trophy to the collection. It is another marvellous moment that the Flying Scotsman can savour. They don't even get to spray anything on the podium. They don't even get the luxury. No. You thought you could spray stuff on the podium. Lol. We emptied them out before you could even try. No getting drunk for you. Why are you drinking air? You lot are weird. But that will do it. What a race to kick off the finale of the Blackout Racing League for this season and this year. Terziak, your race winner today. And I'm so happy for him. I honestly am. Stark in P2. Timalele 3rd. Slam comes home to round off a top 4. Thanasi in 5th. J-Lane in 6th. Buck 20, Magico, Dirkleton, and Big Sam round out the top 10. With Jamie Tarquin, Milo, Tyrrell, Swifty rounding out our lineup. Milo did get fastest lap. Buck 20 in P7. I now have to do some calculating, ladies and gentlemen, before we head into the final round. One last dance in 2024 in the Blackout Racing League. For now, though, like I said, I'm going to be calculating exactly what the points stipulations will be. So, for those of you that don't really know, I'm just going to... it'll be in paint.net. I do apologise for that. But this right here is what the points distribution looks like. 3 points given to the driver with fastest lap, but that is our order. Now, I'm going to put Merc and Mac. So, before this race, Mercedes had a grand total of 654 points. McLaren had 640. Now, with results taken into account, Timalele got 20 and Mr. Magico got 9. As for McLaren, Milo came in 12th, but did get fastest lap, so he gets 7 points. And then Mr. fuck 20 got 11 points, which means going into the final round, this is what it looks like. McDonald's has a grand total of 658 points. Decent. Not bad at all. Smiley face for you. But Mercedes, with an incredible running of race results today, have 683 points. And that requires a very big smiley face, as you can see there. Because they, of course, have the... Well, you can do the maths. They have a 25-point gap at the top of the championship. Which means what they need to do is not let McLaren outscore them by 25 points in the final round. And then they will be Constructors' Champions. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's anything but. Blackout always makes things seem simple, but alas, they never are. And that's really all of the fun behind it. Magico says there is a clip in Discord. Oh, yes. I've been waiting for this. Here we go. Big Sam has a clip from the Canadian catastrophe for some people. Big Sam wasn't too bad. Still a top 10. He can be very, very happy with himself. But it's him with his teammate straight ahead. Him and Terziak. Let's see what evolved in this probably egregious incident. So, Big Sam... Terziak has gone through at the chicane. We have Stark behind, as you can see. He's looking nervously behind because the Ferrari is waiting to pounce. The prancing horse gallops down the inside. So he does gallop down the inside. Big Sam opts for avoiding action. Clobbers over the sausages. Okay, and then through goes Stark, Derek Dirkleton, and Mr. Thanassi. Three-position ship, but then he brakes right round the outside of Thanassi. Oh, no. Oh, my God, never mind. That's why there was an absolute sweat fest going on. Because... Well, Timalele gets pinched in by the McLaren, as you can see there, in the rearview mirror. And then, suddenly, he's like, hello there. Takes out the Ferrari of Stark, takes out the Red Bull. Thanassi's caught up in the crossfire. 1,000,000 points of damage. Virtual safety car deployed. And, well, he might have been crowned champion, but that slightly puts an asterisk on it, because that was torpedo turmoil. Good grief. And another clip from Big Sam as well. Big Sam is feeding us tonight. Tim doing everything he can to win.
Caution, caution.
Including being a banzai bullet at the hairpin. You know what? I have to rate it.
Caution,
Back
caution.
with Big Sam then. The rain is coming down. It's him versus Jamie Tarquin. Out of the water champions. It's a very, very tentative final chicane. As Jamie Tarquin sprints off into the distance. Big Sam's got his first clean app of the race at the top there. Very nice. Dicing with the traction on the exit of turn number 2. And his tyres are firmly casseroled. As Jamie Tarquin goes through the chicane, and it's a flick spin and death. The rear brakes were a problem for everyone.
Caution.
And so the Red Bull sent peerlessly pirouetting around, and that was the end of that. Big Sam might even have another clip for us. No, he just said Jamie go spin. Well, he's not wrong, to be fair. He is not wrong even slightly. But there you are. My goodness me. That's a Canadian Grand Prix. Isn't it? Holy moly. And now, we have to wait. We just have to wait for the Japanese Grand Prix. And why has it put me in the Ferrari? Why? Why has it put me in the Ferrari? No, I'm not driving today. Mostly because I'll be terrible. One final race to go then. The Japanese Grand Prix. One last chance in the Constructors' Championship. Drivers' Championship, signed, sealed, delivered. We already know who's won that. Don't need to carry on. But, in Constructorsville, who's going to move themselves in to the Crown Palace of pure success and sweetness? We shall soon find out. And I'm just waffling at this point. I don't really know what to do when I'm waffling. I just waffle. So there you are. Do I even have... I was debating on whether I had any, like, previous Blackout clips I could show you all, but I don't think I do. What's that? Which race was that? Was that Portugal? Oh, it was Portugal and Brazil. That's what it was. Well, do you know what? Let's relive a fun memory, shall we? Let's relive a fun, or not so fun for me, but it was fun nonetheless. Now, I'm just going to have to check very quickly to make sure that there is no lobby starting up. It's gone to Japan. That's a good start. I'm going to show you this, and then we shall see where we go. So, let me just turn that all the way down, because this was my final race that I did on F123. I still play F123 to this day, because it's an actually good game. Now, out of the pit lane, I immediately slide out. This was an angry car. This was a very, very angry car, and I'll explain why as we go on. Out of the pit lane we go. That gap to Maximus is 3.6 seconds. Isn't here today, unfortunately, as he has, I think, a late shift at work. But Maximus, you put on a great show all season, my friend. Thank you for everything you do. But that gap is going to come tumbling down at a rapid rate of knots, as I basically just got into a flow state in this Brazilian Grand Prix. I'd argue I didn't even drive that well, because I've driven Brazil plenty of times since then, and this was quite scruffy in my standards nowadays, or maybe I'm just too harsh on myself. I don't really know. But 4 tenths gain, pretty much half a second gain through that right-hander alone, hugging the inside. And then it's soon to be on the back of the Haas car, although I think he peeled into the pits before I could do any of that. Purple Sector 2, life is good on the new medium tyres. The reason I was a bit angry, and it was not Dirk Coulton's fault whatsoever, not even slightly Dirk Coulton's fault. His AI retired, and then didn't want to decide whether to stay on the racing line or go out. I went to the outside to go round him, and then he decided that runoff looks nice, I'll take out the race leader, and so he did. So I then got front wing damage. The gap was reduced from what was 11 seconds to Timalele and Terziak behind. And my plan was always going to be going into the pits. I was always going to pit no matter what. But unfortunately, it came slightly sooner than I expected, and under much more disastrous circumstances. But there you go. So, through the right-hander we go. The gap to Milo now with the car ahead on the medium tyres. I was always going to pit. I was probably going to pit on this lap, number 24, onto a set of medium tyres and just go full send until the end of the race. New mediums felt absolutely fantastic. Actually, saving battery meant something. F123 is and was a great time. Still is a great time, in my opinion. And I actually got my rig fixed, so I can play it again. Jamie Tarquin takes the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 10.0. I then decide that I need to deploy every single ounce of battery in existence to make sure I get the fastest lap. So I'm down to 26% battery, hugging the inside line. Probably should have hugged it even more, to be honest with you. But I get a 1 minute 9.8. That's pretty decent. Although nowadays on normal race pace, I'm doing 1 minute 9.5s. So really, it's not that impressive, is it? But I've gained like 2 seconds to Milo at this particular point. In fact, I'll just go forwards by about a minute. And then you'll find yourself with me on the back of Mr. Milo. 6 tenths now. The gap as I hug the inside of turn number 3. DRS wide open. And I'm nowhere near passing him. I am nowhere near passing him. Don't even need to use ERS at this particular point. Just need to set up the exit. And so I do. I think about going to the inside. I was wondering if Miller was going to defend. He leaves it open. And so down the inside I go. And then through these few corners, I'm already half a second up. Through the right-hander, that increases to 8 tenths of a second. Make that through the left-hander. Oh, wait, that's a second. New tyres with different gravy on F123. Just different gravy entirely. 1 point to Big Sam. Wait, what do you mean 1 point to Big... Are they only scoring the top 10? Is that what they're doing? Oh, 4 between V-Carb and Red Bull. Oh, I see. This is championship stipulations. Okay, so J-Lane's only got 1 point to Big Sam before he usurps him. And then V-Carb and Red Bull. Sister versus Big Brother in the Constructors' Championship. That will be interesting. That will be very interesting. I'm just going to quickly check that they haven't started yet, because I'm scared that they have. No, not everyone's in yet. Fine. Back to watching this. That's fun. There's a Mercedes up ahead. There's Buck 57. He actually took the fastest lap from me at the end of this race. That wasn't very fun. But I'm going to find the lap I actually caught them. I had 9 laps to do so, a gap of about 10 seconds to the race leader, Terziak. By the time we get to lap number 31, I am there. I'm in DRS. Well, I think a couple of laps before, I menacingly said to them, I see you. And that wasn't very fun for them. They were trying to use DRS to couple each other and get away from me. Didn't work. I rate the effort, but it did not work at all. My braking is absolutely terrible. What the hell am I doing? Anyway, through the first 3 corners we go. We're hugging the inside, as you can see. First target, my championship rival for that season, Mr. Terziak. He was, of course, the race winner just now at the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm taking my time because I don't really know if they're going to defend too much or whatnot. That, and I only had one warning between myself and a corner cutting penalty, so I didn't really want to entertain myself with that. Have loads of momentum through the double right-hander. Terziak then gets his braking astronomically wrong through the right-hander. And I say thank you and good night, Irene. Round the outside we go on the fresher tyres. Plenty of racing room and respect. I'll defend the inside just to ensure there is no other tomfoolery developed by the Flying Scotsman behind. Through into P2 I went, and then there was only one car. This season's champion, Tim Alele. I know, believe it or not, I was quite a quick driver. Still am on F123. F124, not so much. I'm playing on a controller on that one because I use controllers on arcade games. So there you are. Look to the inside. Tim Alele was never going to defend it, and rightly so, because why would he? Through the left-hander we go, and then there was only one corner between myself and eternal success. I remained in the slipstream just in case he did choose to defend the inside. In the end, resistance was futile. I keep the inside line. I don't chop all the way across because otherwise that will be damage and that will be just pain and anguish. But through into P1 I went, and that was the end of that. And that was my rapid ascent to the race win. And easily my best stint of the entire season. At the last race as well. Those were the days, honestly. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I did win the race. You probably guessed that by now. I was changing my brake bias. I was changing my brake bias all the time. My God. I was on 55 and then 56. I was such a sweat. Back to 55 for the final corner. Use all the curb on the outside. Don't know why I'm not turning in earlier and using momentum, but anyway, doesn't really matter now. I won that race. That was a great season. I enjoyed myself. Ladies and gentlemen, right in the nick of time, it's qualifying, and it is absolute cats and dogs here in Japan. Which I'm surprised they found any. Given that... What? Mate, I wasn't going to say anything. Alright, well, if you insist. Here we are then. Qualifying on the horizon. We are missing a driver. Who the hell are we missing? I'll figure this out. I promise I will. The marshal's moving in unison and also getting drenched in unison as well. There's a car that's first out on the track. It's not Big Sam. Swifty enters the fray. A new bombshell enters the villa and immediately promptly exits it to do something much more useful with their time. Out of the pits comes the Haas driver, and it really is a baptism by fire, or in this case, by flood. Massive understeer through the left-hander. Welcome to the wet weather, my friend. It's not a fun time. So, who is not here? Let me try and figure it out. I can figure it out. Both Aston Martins are here, both Red Bulls, both McLarens, both Mercedes. J-Lane's here, Thanassi's here. Tyrrell's not here. Where are ya? Why are you not here? Don't make me fly the Alpine flag again. Season 15, it was already hard enough. I'm just kidding, it wasn't that difficult. Right, into the hairpin we go. I think Swifty's on a controller. He definitely is on a controller. There you go. That's that information weaseled out. But we'll see how he drives round this Japanese Grand Prix circuit. Again, a little bit of a baptism by fire for the Haas driver. Has entered torrential downpours here at the Suzuka circuit. But equally, with the Chipotle sponsorship, is bringing absolutely nothing but the spiciest circumstances for the rest of the grid to deal with, and is warming up his tyres rather vigorously. So much so, he almost bonked barrier. And you can't be doing that. It doesn't yield pace. Full throttle through 130R. I rate the effort. I do rate the effort, but not this time. Through the Casio triangle we go, which looks nothing like a triangle. So why have they called it that? But on board with the Haas driver, let's ride on board for a wet weather adventure here at Suzuka. Still weaving around a little bit on the straight just to keep it pointed straight and true. Into turn number 1. Brakes nice and early. If anything, just keeping it between the white lines is exactly the way to go. And then into the S's. First one complete. Just a pendulum. Let the rear end slide round. Hope it complies. So far, complying nicely. Then, into this left-hander. Can't remember if it has a different name. I think it does, but I can't be bothered to remember it. Get on the throttle as early as you can. Line of least resistance. Towards the two Degners. Degner 1, nice and fast. Don't try and cut out of track limits, although he's got away with it on that one, and indeed on that one. Plenty of sliding and shenanigans going around, but he's kept it in the right direction. Into the hairpin we go. Pinch the inside of it. Trying to carry too much momentum on the initial phase. And then massive slide, my God. It's so tricky out there. And I don't envy him whatsoever. It is so tricky in these conditions. Just got to tiptoe your way round. And so he is tiptoeing his way round. Plenty of panache and power as he's got his foot to the floor. Towards 130R. 130 in this case, because that's the amount of miles an hour everyone will be doing it in this session. Through to the Casio triangle for the final couple of proper corners at this Suzuka circuit. And then it's just that sweeping right-hander. And then hug the inside for the time, the absolute fastest way to the line. A 149.7 and a valiant attempt, it must be said, from the Haas driver. Here comes Derek Dirkleton to put another time on the board. Stamp on the loud pedal as late as you dare, as early as you dare actually, but across the line a 145.9. Make that a 143.5 from Big Swimmer. Fantastic stuff from the Aston Martin driver. And then came Stark in the Ferrari. Into P2 at the moment, albeit with half a battery and presumably not all of the pace that he was meant to dispose. Buck 20 across the line, goes into P2 himself. A 144.342. A very, very good effort. Other drivers out on outlaps at the moment. Others, though, probably still continuing on and potentially trying to go for faster laps. You can do it in the wet conditions. It's better to find consistency. Get out there. Basically, just develop a rhythm. Get some consistency under your belt. Fill the car up so you can do a few laps at full chat. And get used to the conditions as they evolve. As the tyres get older, the car gets lighter. It all just becomes that little bit easier. Check my personal Discord, I shall indeed. I won't check the private Discord that me and you use for extracurricular purposes. Don't worry, dear. Now, what is this man saying? Let's find out. Check my personal Discord. Well, what's going on? What are we doing? What have you added me? I will not expose it out loud. Coming across the line again. Dirkleton's actually gone to P2. Fair play, you know. Absolutely brilliant. But then Stark blows it out of the water in quite a literal sense. A 142.825. My goodness me. There you go. Slam on a lap then, looking for some juicy slipstream behind Mr. Terziak, who has invalidated his lap. So that's probably why he's getting some. Purple Sector 2, though, for the Kick Sauer driver. He's still got plenty to prove. Buck 20 has ascended into P2 in the meantime. Slam looking for that big old golden goose to develop the glitz, the glamour, and ultimately the gobbling of his opposition as he takes the narrowest line, but not really. Across the line, he's only 300ths off pole at the moment. Neat little lap from Mr. Slam in the kick Sauber, and the pole position hunt is certainly on. Terziak, meanwhile, goes for another lap. He's on the intermediate tyres. Now, that is extremely bold, and Swifty also on the intermediate tyres. The rain just a little bit lighter, in fact, quite significantly lighter than it was last time. The conditions definitely improving, though. Big Sam goes fastest by 7/10 of a second, and then it's Stark to come round the final corner, presumably to take that back. No, it isn't. He's saved his battery, he's going again soon. Buck 20, though, he's pushing for hell or leather, and he's gone P2, half a second almost, behind the Aston Martin driver at the moment. What's Terziak's life looking like on the intermediates? No idea is the answer to that. There's a lap time thing. Read it and weep, ladies and gentlemen. Through the Sector 2 split, the Aston Martin driver will soon go, and he will hope it will be Aston Martin annihilation as the rain continues to ease off little by little, bit by bit. It is a purple Sector 2 for the Flying Scotsman. One final corner to go. Has not used any battery whatsoever. Perhaps he doesn't even need to. Perhaps it's just masking the power of the intermediate tyres. Through the final corner goes Terziak. Now he's pushing. It's a 1:45.4 and a purple Sector 2, even without properly pushing the battery to its absolute limits. Out of the pit lane comes a Red Bull then. It's Derek Dirkleton once again. Swifty crosses the line. He's starting another lap, this time on the intermediate tyres. Stark coming through the final corners, meanwhile, he's a couple attempts up on his previous best, and so across the line goes the Ferrari, P2 at the moment. Still, Big Sam has a stranglehold on the front position, but Terziak, I mean, he's gone 2.5 seconds faster in Sector 1 alone. That is rather alarming. Soon to go through the spoon curve, and then in theory it will be a purple Sector 2. It looks like he's got absolute tanker loads of confidence in that green machine. Squirreling on the exit a little bit as he tries to plant on the power, but there is plenty of momentum being carried through the second sector split. He's 5.5 seconds up on his previous... Terziak's absolutely flying, and ladies and gentlemen, you can bet your bottom dollar there is only one outcome to take an absolutely pristine pole position at this current juncture. Terziak with a 1:39.2 second time. He has absolutely minced the field. Dirkleton, meanwhile, behind. He's on intermediates as well. He's going to go for one as well. Let's roll on board with the Red Bull driver to see what kind of impression he can make in this qualifying session with only 6 minutes to go. A clean, calm and collected lap from the Red Bull of Dirkleton into P2. Goes the Red Bull driver. It's absolutely masterful. Then we had Mr. Magico on the intermediate tyres. Through the final corner he goes. The chance for Mercedes to claim yet another Constructors' Championship. They would be consecutive. Magico moves to P2. Fantastic stuff. Just inside the 1:39 barrier. But he's inside it nonetheless. Oh, wait, Mr. Milo has turned up. He now goes to pole. Make that J-lane as the times are tumbling thick and fast. Big Sam finishing his outlap. Slam doing the same, but we have Thanasi on a lap, and he absolutely relishes the rainy conditions. Cannot get enough of them, and we'll see what kind of impression he's going to make. It's a purple Sector 2 with his first turn of the wheel here at Suzuka. Some cracking pace. Spons. Then Casio triangle time. Absolutely blitzing the bollard into Narnia. And then on the power as early as you dare. Hug the inside, the shortest line, and it's 2.3 seconds the gap out in front. That is alarming. Well, if warning signs weren't around for the rest of the grid, then they better be now. Because that is quite something. Championship leader Timolele, though, he's out and about as well. So they'll have to see what he can do. Milo also going again, as is J-Lane. Milo was about half a second up. Make that just over a second down. Because they're charging their battery, waiting to go again. Magico around the Casio triangle. He's into the pit lane. And if it's a quick turnaround, he's probably fine. But equally, if it's not, that is day done for the Mercedes driver. Has got 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, so he's better be quick smart about it. That's all I'm saying. Milo, though, begins yet another lap of this qualifying session. J-Lane has peeled into the pit lane himself. And then we have Timolele, who will cross the line to begin his one and possibly only qualifying. In fact, it will be his one and only qualifying lap, unless he uses his battery wisely, in which case he can do 2 consecutive push laps. Who knows, though? Big Sam into P2, though, with a 1:38.7. Jamie Tarquin decides to survey the scenery from the back of the grid. Dirkleton on another lap. He's 1.2 seconds up on his previous best. Terziak will exit the pit lane with 2 minutes on the clock still to go. Still time for anyone else who wants to try and get that last-ditch lap in to peel out of the pit lane, as Mr. Magico is now doing. Derek Dirkleton, 2 seconds up on his previous best. So far, would be good enough for P2. Has the Casio triangle still to go, though. Apex 1 down, Apex 2 down. Plant on the power, hug the inside, and it's going to be, from Derek Dirkleton, a 1:38.4. It's P2 on the road for now. Loads of people still on outlaps. One of them that isn't, though, is Buck20. He's going for it, as is Mr. Milo. 1.7 seconds up on his previous best. Would see him firmly in P2. Can he improve even on that? It will be P2. Half a second off of Thanasi in P1. But a marvellous piece of McLaren magic here in this qualifying session. Through the final corners, everybody else goes, though. Timolele, what's he got in store? Across the line is P3 for now. In the wet conditions, I have no idea if he's used battery. I mean, he looks like he's absolutely pushing despite everything. He might as well go for it. It's your final chance, the final roll of the dice here in this qualifying session. Slam crosses the line. He's going to go for one final flying lap, this time on a set of intermediate tyres. Stark on a flying lap. Swifty on a flying lap. In fact, God, everyone's on a flying lap. Forget it. Forget it. Everyone's on a flying lap. Can't keep up. Big Sam's invalidated his time. That will be qualifying done for him. He will improve on no higher than 5th. Terziak goes for another lap in this qualifying session as the McLaren of Buck20 moves up to P4. Very nicely done, sir, but there are still plenty of places to be picked up by those behind. One of which is this man. Thanasi improves on his best lap so far to go firmly into P1. And there could be no denying that. J-Lane and Magico did make it across the line. They will get one more flying lap here in this session. Thanasi goes onto the grass to get well out of the way of both J-Lane and Mr. Magico, who's just there on the right-hand side. Now we see what the times are like. Timalele, purple sector 2, but only 2 tenths up at the moment. Has to pull a very, very magic rabbit out of the hat if he is to get pole position today. If it is front row, he'd probably be very happy with it. Stark got through into P2. An absolutely monumental lap from him. Timalele can only settle for P3 on the road. I say only P3. It's a marvellous lap nonetheless. Buck 20 still pushing for life nor money. Was 2 tenths up. Will he push the battery out of this corner? Absolutely he will. He's going for it. A chance for higher position. Slam crosses the line, goes through into P5. We then have Mr. Terziak, I think that is, about to cross the line. Through the final chicane he goes. 2.3 seconds up on his personal best. What can he do? It's the front row! And a proper challenge for Thanasi. That would have made the Williams driver sweat at least a little bit, but not to be. Buck 20 moves up to P4 on the road. So close even to getting P3 on the road. J-Lane, what can he do? He's invalidated his time. It would have been 2 seconds of an improvement. It would have been good enough for P3 on the road. But that is all hearsay. Magico crosses the line to get P8 in this qualifying session. And that will do it here in Suzuka. A slippery one. Provided sumptuous speed all the way through. Thanasi takes pole position, just under a tenth ahead of Terziak. Stark P3, Buck 24th. Champion Timalele in P5 with Milo only 5 thousandths off in P6. Slam in P7, Magico 8th, Dirkleton 9th, and Big Sam rounds out the top 10 with J-Lane, Swifty, and Mr. Jamie Tarquin rounding out our grid lineup. So, ready to go one last time, everyone? It's the finale of Season 17. It's the finale of Blackout in 2024. And what more fitting of a venue? One that has seen champions crowned. One that has seen furious finales in the history of Formula 1. The 1980s battles between Senna and Prost. 1988, where Senna took it after basically stalling on the grid, did the ultimate comeback to take the championship. Prost and Senna's crash, controversial in 1989, where Senna was very, very controversially disqualified by a corrupt head of FISA. Yes, I am talking about you, Jean-Marie Ballester. Not that you can hear it, but you are corrupt. Look at the square heads of everyone in the Paddock Club. You got the Minecraft patch. That's what you get for not giving me good graphical qualities. But in 1990, it all came to a head. Senna taking out Prost to claim the championship for himself. Tonight, though, the Constructors is yet to be crowned. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go, and Swifty has a drive-through penalty for jumping the start and then promptly disqualified. That's not great. An absolutely flying start from Thanasi, though. Sweeps across and is firmly into P1. Stark, though, on the harder compound tyres. Not a great one for Terziak, who is now side by side with the Ferrari driver. Plenty of racing room and respect, and Stark's got it wrong. Goes wide onto the grass, and Buck 20 accepts that invitation graciously. Through into P3, goes to McLaren. Man, this is McLaren's best chance to claim a consistent Constructors result and potentially put themselves at the front of the fight. Thanasi P1, Terziak 2nd, Buck 20 in 3rd, Stark 4th, Milo in 5th, Timalele down to 6th, Slam in 7th, Magico in 8th, J-Lane already up tonight as Big Sam, Jamie Tarquin and Dirkleton try and make their way through. Milo, though, with an opportunistic move of the hairpin. Look for the switchback at the exit, but nothing to be at the moment. Has to remain behind the Ferrari. Breaks extremely early for Spoon corner. erring on the side of caution at this early stage, but that could leave him exposed to Timalele in the Mercedes. Squeezes him, leaves that corridor of uncertainty very much closed for the Mercedes driver as Terziak's now leading. Thanasi, what did you do? Milo goes on to... Oh, no! Milo, I saw him go onto the grass. There was only one outcome for that. And just as quickly it was a positive start to proceedings, it's descended into anarchy. Down to P11 he goes. Still has the running order firmly in his crosshairs, but that is not what he needed whatsoever. J-Lane, meanwhile, looking for moves, switchbacking on Magico. Bit of contact made at turn number 2, but through goes the V-Carb driver into P7. An absolute rocket ship start from J-Lane, whose ascent up the ranks very much continues. That's a golden ticket to the battling ahead. Timalele all over the back of the Ferrari. Deploying the battery, perhaps an opportunity into the hairpin, but thinks better of it. It's early days. Start goes wide at the hairpin again, though. And it means while he will get the momentum on the exit, Timalele will remain alongside and will try to remain alongside as much as possible as they head into the spoon curve. Thanasi dropping back from the front two. I'm not entirely sure what his game plan is particularly. Perhaps trying to ruffle the feathers of the Mercedes drivers as their Constructors' Crown crusade is alive and kicking at this current juncture. Look at the amount of cars into 130R, side by side for Stark and Thanasi, side by side for Slam and Timalele behind. Slam defending the inside line as Thanasi goes astronomically wide, cuts the corner. It means through goes Stark without any sort of other invitation. J-Lane and Slam also have a very good chance. Through goes J-Lane. Down the inside, the V-Carb man goes, he's already up to P4. That is an absolutely sensational start from J-Lane and the V-Carb. Thanasi then, currently P5, has that 3-second time penalty. Got on the grass like Milo did the lap before, but didn't spin out, crucially. Just had to helplessly slide straight over the gravel trap and the grass. But meanwhile, Timalele trying to go on the move. Actually, it's gone on the move sensationally. My goodness me. Fantastic from Timalele. I don't know what button I pressed to get that up. Please get that away. Please get that away. Please get that away. I don't want it. I don't know what button I pressed. It wasn't that, I'll tell you that much. What did I do? Oh, no. Ah! What did I press? Oh, T. Telemetry. Makes sense. Stark defends P3 from J-Lane, albeit for how long, because DRS will put pay to any form of defense he possibly can muster up. Through the Casio triangle, they go. Once again, DRS will be wide open for the V-Carb driver. Wide open for those hungry sharks behind as well. Tim takes the fastest lap at the moment. Through goes Thanasi, not just on J-Lane, but through on Stark as well. Huge overtakes from the Williams driver, who potentially will look to slow the competitors up ahead. Who knows, though? I hope that's not the case, but you never know what his game plan is. To be honest, I have no idea what his game plan is. I'm just guessing. Truth be told, I'm literally just guessing. Meanwhile, behind it's getting spicy. Big Sam's up to P8. Then it's Magico versus Milo. Mercedes versus McLaren. McLaren, though, it's going well so far. P1 for Buck 20. And so he's going to try and deploy as much of his blistering pace as possible as J-Lane gets past Stark before they even reach the hairpin. And then down the inside goes Timalele, but contact made with the side pod of the Scuderia Ferrari of Stark. And Slam slides on through in the Sauber. How much sibilance do you need on your Monday evening? Not enough. That's the answer. Once again, towards 130R, there you go. And it's J-Lane on a charge. Milo, meanwhile, is on a charge of his own. He's comfortably through on Mr. Magico and deploying every ounce of battery to obtain DRS, assistance, and advantage from the Aston Martin ahead. And so he absolutely has. A bit wide and frisky at the Casio triangle there. J-Lane, again, using DRS, but can't use it to capitalise. Through goes Stark, down the inside once again. And the Ferrari man, just as quickly as he lost P4 on the previous lap, retakes it. J-Lane, though, with a very opportunistic switchback. Nothing doing, though. No fruit to bear. Stark savours the sweet feeling of the overtaking glory. And into P4 he goes once again. The lead swapping between these two, though. They're just using DRS to piggyback themselves along. The gap 3 seconds behind, they'll be looking to keep it very much at that arm's length and more besides. So that 5-car train goes absolutely wild. Mr. Milo is trying to get through on Big Sam up ahead. Yellow flag. There's a problem for Derek Dirkleton. He's having a trip through the gravel trap and into the wall goes Derek Dirkleton. He's found the right way. He's wheel spinning all the way through the gravel. That will do no favours for his tyre wear, tyre life, tyre heating, tyres. Up at the front of the field, though, Buck 20 is looking to be very much on the move. And then behind, God knows, because there's about 65 cars all looking very, very sliced. But Dirkleton's out. And it's a safety car as Slam gets it so wrong. Cuts the corner at the Casio triangle. It's all gone absolutely mad. But Terziak and Buck 20, not needing a second invitation, they're going straight into the pit lane for a set of the hard compound tyres, taking full advantage of that. Then who else is in the pit lane? That's right, championship leader Tim Alele. That's going to equalise things a lot, particularly for Mr. Milo, where it didn't go so well in this early phase. Well, it's still very much early doors here, but the avenue is opening up as they all come into the pit lane. Both McLarens together on the track. Then Magico is going to have to do God's work to ensure that, one, his teammate can get past the McLarens. Not only that, but that Mercedes can secure the constructors here today. Just while I resuscitate and revive my voice, and also my mental state, because apparently I'm getting really sleepy. Don't really know why. Because I just can't be tired. I don't allow it. No tiredness. But while I sort that one out, this is your running order at the moment here in Suzuka. Thanasi P1 in the Williams car. Slam in P2. Stark third. J-Lane in fourth. Big Swimmer in fifth. Magico ascends up to sixth. And then we have the pitters so far this race. Terziak, Buck 20, Tim Alele, and Mr. Milo, with Jamie Tarquin rounding out our running order. He too having made a pit stop. We are processing under the safety car, but the constructors fight, well, who knows who really has the ascendancy. Woo! We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I've been gone for so long. The safety car is in at the end of this lap. So it falls to this man, race leader Thanasi, to control the pace. He can command the rest of the field. He dictates when he pulls the trigger. For when we go back racing, safety car has entered the pit lane. It could be any moment out of the Casio triangle. My guess is he'll set himself up at the exit to get the best possible one and then just pull the trigger and all guns blazing. We are back racing here in Suzuka. Stark firmly hunkered up into the slipstream, but a very good restart from Thanasi. That's all he needed, and so he remains in P1. Stark in P2, J-Lane 3rd, Big Sam in 4th, Magico up to 5th, Terziak in 6th. I neglected to mention it. Slam pitted during that safety car as well. He's now right at the back of the grid. Terziak and Buck 20 then have a little bit of a job to do to get past as quickly as possible, continue their little squabble for the ascendancy for P1 during the rest of this race. Timalele, though, waiting very much in the wings. The last thing Buck 20, of course, can afford to happen is that Timalele gets past, and then there's a real problem because McLaren need to have both their cars, one consistent and two ahead of both the Mercedes as much as possible to really reap the rewards of the big points. A very narrow angle out of the hairpin actually slingshots Buck 20 right into the cusp of overtaking the Aston Martin ahead. Come the spoon curve, but it's futile really. There's little point because by the time they get there, well, then you've got the straight down to 130R, and then who knows what's going on. Magico's dislodged himself from the rest of the field up ahead and is actually using every ounce of battery he possibly can. So much so, there's absolutely none left. And Terziak doesn't need a second invitation. Round the outside goes the Aston Martin driver, easy as you like. Through he goes into P5. And then it's the battle between Buck 20 and Mr. Magico. He has no battery left, and Buck 20, if he just deploys absolutely everything he's got, the resistance is simply futile. Through goes Buck 20. Timalele's trying to get interested as well, as Magico lets him and waves him past effectively. But Buck 20, crucial for him, gets ahead of Magico, stays ahead of Timalele, now up to P6 for the McLaren Maestro. Thanasi's still the race leader then. Big Sam up to P4 now. Terziak's going to get very close and personal and interested in what's going on with this particular train. Of course, all of these guys yet to pit. This is what the pit stop situation looks like. Half the grid has pit, half the grid hath not pit from this race so far. That's the tyre life situation. Now back to the action. Big Sam just beginning to lose touch ahead, and Terziak closing in all the while. This is what it looks like from his perspective. J-Lane, though, deploying battery and fainting to the inside, excuse the hiccup, of the Ferrari of Stark. He himself goes to the inside of 130R to take the lead down the inside. That is mightily bold for the Ferrari driver, particularly because he's not going to have DRS on the next straight, which is not great news for him. So, through the final corners they go. Thanasi has DRS. He's deploying absolutely everything. He goes through down the inside. J-Lane's going to close in as well, but he won't get close enough. Thanasi retakes the lead. Timalele, meanwhile, crucial for Mercedes. He's through on Buck 20 at the moment. Milo got past Magico, so McLaren line astern in P7 and 8. But Timalele getting past Buck 20. That is exactly what he needed. So many stipulations, we could be here for hours, honestly. We could genuinely be here for hours. Fastest lap situ, by the way. What is that saying? The answer is Timalele's got it at the moment. So 3 extra points to Mercedes, although going wide goes Big Sam, allows Terziak through. Executed excellently by the Aston Martin outfit as J-Lane and Stark go into combat after the hairpin. Round the outside goes the V-carb driver, and through goes the V-carb driver at that. He's been waiting ages to make a proper overtake on the Ferrari man and has finally been able to do it. Now has to remain in DRS range of Thanasi in P1. And then he's really laughing. deploys a tiny bit of electrical energy. Meanwhile, Magico's descent down the order continues as Jamie Tarquin goes through. Make that slam going through into P10. Magico at the very, very back of the field. Oh no, I saw Slam go late on the brakes again. It's happened again. Jamie Tarquin sent into a half spin. Luckily, nothing bad has happened and Slam concedes the position once again. I don't blame him. I genuinely do not blame him, but it means Mr. Magico up another 2 places. Fantastic. Terziak, meanwhile, has got past J-Lane. He's into P3, so J-Lane might have got P2 in a hurry, but has then shipped 2 positions in the time that we have not been viewing and the time that we now are. Terziak and Stark both through respectively in P3 and P2 respectively, and now chasing the lead of the race. An 8-car train for the lead in this one. McLarens are interested. Timalele's interested. Terziak particularly interested. Is into the hairpin, there you go, holding the inside line. Stark goes wide yet again. It's not paying any dividends to go wide to carry the momentum round. It's better to just hook it in narrow and then plant on the power as soon as you straighten out the car. That seems to be the evidence so far, but ultimately, Stark remains ahead before this 130R straight, which we are on now. Stark deploying a decent amount of battery. All about remaining in the DRS. As soon as you're out of DRS, you feel like a sitting duck. And so you cannot concede that much time. Big Sam doesn't. Timalele, though, tries to get stuff done earlier than planned. Look to the inside of the Casio triangle. Buck 20 went even further to the inside in the Casio triangle as Timalele deploys the battery. Buck 20 will also deploy the battery, but he's got none left. It means Mr. Milo can come through on his hard compound tyres. McLaren swapping positions, and through goes Milo into P7. Now has got Big Sam up ahead for company. Could set up this left-hander and perhaps there's a switch back. No, there isn't, because I forgot F124 doesn't let us have nice things. Looks to the inside of Degner 1. That is hyper aggressive from Buck 20, from Milo, sorry, Buck 20. I said it because his name appeared. But Buck 20 is a 3-second time penalty. Not so great, not so fruitful. Oh dear. Timalele hasn't got DRS on J-Lane, at least at the moment. Which, well, Terziak was counting his Lucky Stars for, but now Timalele's firmly in DRS. That's not ideal, and we're back in the DRS Trainville. Great stuff. Course 130R, still on board with the McLaren of Milo as he looks to make moves. Looks to the inside of the Casio triangle. Big Sam narrowed off the line. Clever and cunning from Milo, who then compromises the exit of the Aston Martin up ahead. And so a little bit of battery for Milo to play with. More with Big Sam to play with, but Milo deploying, and by the time they reach turn number 1, fully alongside and down the inside goes the McLaren of Milo. Can Buck 20 make it through as well? Reminds me of, I think it was Haas in, I can't remember what year, but it was Suzuka. I know that much. Doesn't happen, doesn't emulate real life in this particular instance. But Milo up to P6, Buck 20 remains in P8 for the time being. Terziak up to P2 meanwhile. Had to bide his time. The DRS train certainly didn't help his cause. But Stark now in first. Terziak in second. Thanasi drops down to third place at this current moment. As we're at the fulcrum point of this race. I know. Oh my Jesus Christ. Inter Milan are cracked. 5-0 against Lazio. Bloody hell, mate. Well, in fairness, I'm looking at Lazio's starting lineup. The only player I really recognise, well, they're Pedro, Guendouzi and Providel. That's it. Maybe Nuno Tavares as well. My God. Oh dear. Deary, deary me. Inter Milan, meanwhile, playing a 3-5-2, and they're absolutely flying. Who would have known? By the way, if you're looking at the graphic at the top left, and it says safety car, it's not a safety car. The FIA are lying to you. As per them. On to lap number 14 we go to breach the halfway barrier of this particular race. Stark holds the lead. Terziak might have DRS slurping up that slipstream, but no, nothing doing at the moment. Still that 8-car train, that 8-car DRS train remains. And then in the background you can see Jamie Tarquin and Slam going for it. That's great stuff. This is what the position change looks like then. J-Lane, the driver of the day on that front, started right at the back of the field fundamentally. Invalidated his lap in qualifying, would have been 3rd place otherwise, but this time making amends for it on race day. Had an operation not but a few weeks ago, has recovered extremely speedily to be able to do this, and I hope that road to recovery is still very much on, if indeed it is not finished already. Lap number 14 of the Japanese Grand Prix here in the Blackout Racing League finale, and this is the situation. Stark, your race leader, Terziak in hot pursuit though, and I mean hot pursuit though, as it rises to volcanic levels as he closes in ever more towards 130R. In the Aston Martin car, J-Lane's about to lose DRS from this front three. Stark concedes position. Terziak almost caught by surprise. He goes down the inside at the Casio triangle, but Stark's been extremely clever. He knew it was on, but not clever enough. Terziak has DRS. Stark just misjudges it by the most minute micrometers. And so Terziak takes back P1 of the Japanese Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff. In other news, Magico goes through into P10 because J-Lane is in the pit lane. The halfway point of this race beckoned, and so out comes the V-Carb car. What tyres is he on, you might be asking? The answer is the hard compound tyres. Bit of clear air then. A chance to really crank up the volume and put on some pure pace. Milo putting Timalele under pressure though. And this could get very spicy. Buck 20 still behind Big Sam at the moment, but Timalele makes a mistake. Milo will be there. And so going wide at the hairpin on the exit in particular, probably not part of the plan. Any kind of pressure you can put on that Mercedes, the better for Milo's race. Feint to the inside, force him into a mistake, compromise his exit, you are straight there. Then you can get ahead, and then away you go. Both at about equal battery at this particular juncture, it must be said. So no real lasting advantage between the two of them. Although, words. I've been proven wrong before, and I'm sure I will be proven wrong today as well. Down the start-finish straight we go then for lap number 15, and into the pit lane comes the Ferrari of Stark. As my controller has a spasm, through goes the Ferrari, out of the pit lane, adorning Sebastian Vettel's number. Meanwhile, for Buck 20's race, this is crunch time. Down the inside of Big Sam, and he's cleared the Aston Martin driver. Better late than ever. And now he's got to get up the road as quickly as possible. Get on the coattails of DRS of Milo and go up ahead. Remain consistent. That's the aim of the game. And so he is doing his very, very best. Magico also in the pit lane, by the way. He's onto a fresh set of medium tyres. There's been a problem. What kind of problem has there been? Milo's gone through into P2. How has he done that? Thanasi now down to P3. Timalele P4 still. What on earth has gone on there? As there's yellow flag still. J-Lane's had an issue through the S's. Not entirely sure what happened. He's back facing the right way. But that is disastrous in the context of his race. Milo has to properly push now, though, because he's got to get DRS on Terziak if he can. A full battery, and you bet he's absolutely pushing. Gets into DRS quicker than you can say left, right, good night. Through the left we go, and then through the right we go next. And then it won't be good night because Milo's still very much in this race. What started out as a down spiral of despair has actually formulated itself into a fabulous encounter. As Thanasi enters the pit lane, as does the other Aston Martin of Big Swimmer. Terziak, your race leader then. Milo in P2. Timalele third. Buck 20 in P4. For those of you that are wondering the stipulations of this race, I just know that Mercedes are 25 points ahead of McLaren at this current juncture here on lap number 17. 10 laps to go. So, Merc 25 ahead of McLaren. Meanwhile, I'm paying very close attention to this to make sure I don't miss any of the action. Milo firmly in DRS of Terziak up ahead. Has got some very good pace to boot. So while it might have knocked his confidence a little bit, it's not showing it now. A shell of the man he once was at the beginning has evolved into the exoskeleton of excellence. So second and fourth for McLaren. That would mean a grand total of 23 plus whatever Buck 20s is. I believe that's 17. So they got 40 points currently. Merc, meanwhile, as Milo gets very, very close to Terziak, not wanting to give Timalele DRS, but I don't think he has really got a choice. As through the detection point, actually no, they were way past the detection point come that point. So he hasn't given DRS to Timalele, and a chance to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix here on lap number 18, a fastest lap of this race from Timalele. Milo, though, it'll be one better to take the lead of the race. Down the inside goes the McLaren man, comfortable as you like, into P1, a new race leader here in Japan, and Mr. Milo takes the crown. Was a fastest lap for Timalele, should I say. Starks absolutely decimated that one into Kingdom Come, because he's just gone a second faster on fresh medium tyres, so really, where is the surprise? So, Mercedes currently have 20 plus 11, that's 5. So, currently, well, actually, no, it's better than that, because McLaren now have 30 points. So that's 47 points versus 25. So 22 points currently, at the moment, is the advantage McLaren hold on Mercedes. If they finish in those top positions, they get... Hang on. I'm failing to do maths now. This is not great. I'm not going to bother with that. Milo, your race leader. Terziak P2. Timalele also holding DRS in P3 for the time being. At least that is his game plan, and so his game plan shall continue. Slam in P5, although he's got Jamie Tarquin for company. Red Bull man, haven't really seen him this race, so hopefully he gets a DRS move done soon. And then all will be well in his universe again, at least. To the Casio square they go. It's not a triangle, don't at me. 1 corner, 2 corner, plant on the power, foot to the floor, unleash every single ounce of power and purchase you have, and then DRS open, battery deployed to the gills, to the outside goes Jamie Tarquin, candy from a baby. It's absolutely destroyed the kick Sauber in a straight line, and Jamie Tarquin easily ascends into P5. The 6 at the front of the field then, obviously, the 6 drivers that have actually pit in this race. Meanwhile, those have only just pit, one including Mr. Stark here. 3-lap old medium tyres. They've got 10-lap fresher tyres than everybody else. Stark could still be a factor in this race, depending on if his tyres do actually go the distance. Gap now under 7 seconds, as Jamie Tarquin gets a 3-second time penalty for flirting with lines a bit too much, which is something the FIA do quite often. But Stark, into the hairpin he goes. Another half a second gained in the 2 Degners. He's got some ferocious fight in that Ferrari, and so he needs it to continue. A second he's gained on this lap so far, but he's got to give it even more to really be a shoo-in for the victory today. Interestingly, though, up ahead, a dastardly dynamic has developed if he names Timalele. You're not in DRS anymore. Milo and Terziak just slightly running away with it. Exactly what they need. Milo opting not to go lawn mowing at the Casio triangle, which oddly is actually significantly faster. DRS will be open for the McLaren man. Once again, DRS maximum flappage to the inside line goes Mr. Milo in the McLaren. The orange machine overthrows the Aston Martin Assassin in P1, and Milo is again our race leader here in Suzuka. Not many penalties so far, and we're entering the closing stages of this race rather rapidly. Buck 20 has to deploy a lot of pace, or at least get a goddamn move on with things very quickly, because at the moment, he will actually lose P4 to Slam, and he would be in P5. That's another kick to the nads that, well, McLaren really don't need if they're going to take the Constructors' Championship. I'm here to do the maths. You're here to watch the racing. And have fun while doing that. Through the hairpin goes Milo, almost breaking DRS to Terziak, but not quite. Not quite. Terziak got a bit more battery on him in this particular instance. As Stark has reduced that gap now to about 5 seconds out of the hairpin. Make that under 5 seconds. He is absolutely flying in that Ferrari on those medium tyres. Careless a breeze, really. Milo almost takes a trip to the grass there. I'm not entirely sure if he's had a lapse of concentration. By the way, a lot of you are asking, what happened to Derek Dirkleton? What was the reason for his retirement? And I can tell you exactly what happened. It was simultaneous steering and brake failure. I know, it's disastrous. It really was. Nothing he could have done. Out of the first Degner, it was absolutely fine, but then he tried to go into the second Degner. He turned the wheel, didn't turn, tried to brake, didn't brake. There was only one outcome, and it was a torpedo into the barrier. Lap number 21 of this race then. Buck 20 now drops to about 5 seconds behind this front three train as Timalele gets interested on Terziak, who's dropping out of DRS of Mr. Milo and deploying the battery towards the Degners. Timalele looks to the inside, but that gap will close and time will run out very, very quickly. And so he remains behind, actually compromised himself a tiny bit. That's the thing though with making moves in this sport. You have to pick and choose very wisely. Is it worth me feinting to the inside and trying to distract my opponent and compromising my line on this particular corner? Is it worth really being aggressive and actually losing time and having to do the work again? Them's the real questions. And then again, it's not only about that, it's also about making the move with DRS zones. Should I really be making this move when I know that they're going to get DRS and re-overtake me anyway? Those are all the micro calculations that these drivers have to do constantly in this race. Here on lap number 21, approaching the end of lap number 21 very rapidly. Make that lap number 22 as Milo goes through the Casio triangle, followed in close proximity by Terziak and Timalele. Across the line, make that. Now it's lap Yuki Tsunoda. Milo leads then, Terziak P2, Timalele P3, but looking to change. To the outside goes Timalele. How important would this be? Sweeping round the outside, contact made with the back of the McLaren of Milo, who went, well, seemingly exceedingly slowly for Timalele. But whatever the case, Milo holds the lead. Timalele P2 and Terziak down to P3. Stark's progress has slightly slowed down since we last checked in on him. He's just got under 3 seconds, actually, compared to the 2 cars ahead. So he is still tracking along very, very nicely, but not quite at the monstrous rate that we saw previously. Still plenty of time, though. 5.5 tours of the Suzuka circuit to go. 5.5 tours for anything to happen. 5.5 final tours of 2024 and Season 17 here in the Blackout Racing League. Through the hairpin goes Stark. I say his progress has slowed down. He's caught up a second in half a lap alone compared to the 2 ahead of him. Jamie Tarquin remaining right underneath the diffuser of Slam, but soon enough they're going to have to be scared of their own diffusers very quickly from another threat behind. A scarlet red streak of speed. The Stark comes out of the spoon curve, the gap teetering on the edge of 3 whole seconds. Towards 130R, these guys go. Out of the Casio triangle, the front 3 go though. And Timalele wants that race lead. He's got plenty of battery to be able to do it. Milo's deploying absolutely everything. Resistance is futile, though. It's an academic move once again as Timalele breezes through into P1. It was almost inevitable in a way. Jamie Tarquin, meanwhile, does get past Slam with the helping hand of DRS at his disposal. P5 for the Red Bull driver. Stark, what's his pace like through the first 2 corners? Another second gained on that previous lap. Gains a second on this lap, and the lap after he'll be in DRS, and then come lap number 26, then the progress can really begin. Well, it's half a second through this first section of track for Stark as he continues his ever-growing conquest. The Scuderia ship chartering a course for much more beautiful waters, and he's closing in on that. It's no longer a mirage. It's no longer an illusion. It really is there, and it really is yours for the taking. Provided You, 1, get in DRS, and 2, overtake. But catching is one thing, passing very much another. Towards 130R we go then. Milo was hustling and harrying Timalele, at least for the first section, but no longer. He is now waiting patiently for that DRS to come through as they head into the Casio triangle, clattering over the curbs, excuse me. And then DRS once again, keeping it straight and narrow, and Timalele, not really planning on fighting it, took an ultra-wide line to make sure he couldn't fight it whatsoever. But that will open the door for Terziak as well. Round the outside, thought about going for it on Milo as well. Timalele ships 2 positions in the flick of a switch. Slam and Jamie Tarquin's battle, that's not done either though. Through goes the kick sour driver into P5 once again. As Stark will ride on board for this lap because I think we'll get a visualization of just how powerful the newer tyres are still, unless they have sunk like a brick, in which case, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cursing you. I promise I won't do it again. Maybe. Through the S's we go. Situation update in terms of the positions and standings. So, Mercedes currently have the same number of points as they did before. That being 25 scored. Milo, through that, Start goes wide, never mind. I probably shouldn't watch him. Let's go back to Terziak. What's he up to? Oh dear, he's getting overtaken into Spoon Curve. Timalele goes alongside, side by side into Spoon Curve. And Timalele makes an absolutely sumptuous move. Into P2 he goes to keep his course for DRS very much on the right track. And so deploying the electrical energy at least a little bit to make sure he does remain with the rear wing flap at his disposal on the start-finish straight, as we then head to 3 laps to go. Through the final couple of corners, Milo goes stratospherically wide, and then as much as the tyres will bite into the bitumen, DRS is going to absolutely engulf the McLaren ahead. 3 laps of the Japanese Grand Prix to go. I don't know why I was going to say Suzuka Grand Prix. Don't ask. Through the first 2 corners we go, though, and Timalele can give chase. Jamie Tarquin and Slam once again playing swapsies into P5. Goes the Red Bull man once again. Timalele up to P2 means that it's now 24 points that he scores, so it's 29 points that the big old Mercedes outfit will score in this race. Buck 20, and this is a bit of a weird one now, because not only has he got Slam to worry about in terms of his time delta, he's also got Stark to worry about. So actually, it could be P6 on the road, and that is 13 points. 43 versus 29 is, well, is not 25 between them. I'm no genius, but I know that much. So that would mean Mercedes currently very much on the right track to take the Constructors' Championship, provided Timalele doesn't screw the pooch, which isn't really allowed. It's definitely not allowed on this circuit anyway. Through the Spoon corner we go. It's going to be an almighty assault towards 130R, as it always has been this race. Then soon, only 2 laps to go. Time ticking away. Their line astern, you might as well bump draft round this track. As weaving this way and that way, Timalele goes to the inside, and Milo turns in. It's almost Senna and Prost-esque, except if it was like real life, there will be brutal damage, and it's compromised him so much so. The aggressive defense of the McLaren, that Terziak slides on through. Once again, the almighty overspeed of the Aston Martin. Down the inside he goes, but Milo sweeps round in that McLaren and says, no thank you, sir. I'm keeping that in my possession, at least for the time being. Stark, by the way, is now firmly in DRS. Of the 2 cars ahead, he's only got 1 lap, really, to get the job done. And Thanasi's not that far behind either, really. So great driving from those who have managed to get the medium tyres on. They didn't have a safety car helping them out. They've still managed to hoist themselves to the battle at the front. But equally, it's a case of what could have been. Stark, though, like I said, had only 1.5 laps to really get the job done here in this race. Up at the front, though, it could be a Milo masterclass. It could be a tremendous Terziak double today. He's done it in Canada, could do it again here. Timalele will not have a time penalty next to his name, so he could get the win as well. 3 cars that are firmly shoo-ins for this one, as there's been a huge problem. Thanasi's had a spin, damage of some kind. That is not ideal in the slightest. And all of the hard work that I had so acclaimed him for previously has been completely nullified. He pulls off the track to let through Big Sam and J-Lane. And he's just taking his time here. He's just taking his time, weaving in the gravel trap. As Magico goes through, you can bet he didn't lift for that yellow flag, so that will be investigated after the race. Thanasi's left the session. I don't blame him. I fully don't blame him. Terziak goes through. It's the final lap of the race. You knew it was coming. And with DRS wide open, he ascends automatically into the lead of the race. But there's still one more chance, really. Or perhaps a couple more chances. The hairpin, if they're feeling bold. And after the spoon curve and the run towards 130R, that's really the final chance of the lot. Slam now down to P7 as Stark has cleared one of the cars ahead of him that he needed to clear. When penalties are applied, he'll actually finish P4 in this one. Buck 20, try as he might, he hasn't been able to shake off the cars behind. And it will be a descent down the order when his penalties are well and truly applied. And that will mean Constructors' Glory will head to Brackley. But the race win very much yet to be decided. Towards spoon curve they go. Timalele and Milo very much not saving. Terziak's actually been very, very smart. Has saved. And so out of the corner they go. A big slide for Terziak though. Not what he needed in the slightest. Milo will deploy and deploy some more. But dashing away into the horizon is Terziak. Down the inside at 130 on contact. They go wide. Drama between the race leaders. And that gives Terziak all the time and space he needs. He will do the double in the final week of Blackout. It's tremendous from Terziak. He wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Timalele takes P2. Milo, fight as he might, will claim P3. Stark 4th, Slam in 5th. 4 cars practically on the same piece of bitumen. The same square meter of it at least. What a showing from everyone. But that means, you know exactly what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, your Constructors' Champions for Blackout Season 17. It's going back to Brackley. Mercedes have done it. Once again. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That will do it. Another season done. Another year done, basically. What a year of Blackout it has been. It has been an honour and a privilege to be their commentator, and it always will be. Another side somersault. The acrobatic assault. The Aston Martin ace lifts the trophy high. It's another one for the collection. And soon enough they will spray sweet nothings once again. Just like my Friday night. But there we are. Aston Martin logo very much looking like wings. And Terziak soared supremely high this week. We won't get to see the race results because I'm not allowed nice things. Even in the last week of Blackout, I'm not allowed nice things. What's that about? Come on, man. That's terrible. Anyways, well, I can tell you as much anyway. The podium was Terziak, Timalele, and Milo. There will be debate about the contact at 130R. I'm sure there will be. But it's a great way to end another superb season of the Blackout Racing League. What a year it has been. What a season it has been. My goodness me. Magico said that was so boring with the wrong setup. I promise to do better. Don't worry. We're doing it together next season. That's an announcement I'm yet to make, but I will be making it soon. What a year it's been, though. What a year it has been. And where do you even start? Where do you even start? Well, obviously, a huge congratulations to Timalele for taking the Drivers' Championship. A congratulations to Mercedes once again, who have taken the Constructors' Championship in consecutive seasons at that. Magico takes home, I think, a 3rd consecutive Constructors win. With Alpine once, with Mercedes twice. He can be pretty happy with that one. I'm just saying, if you ever want the key to success in the Constructors, call Magico. That is all I will say. But those 2 races pretty much epitomised everything beautiful about Blackout. Craziness, chaos, crucial moves, and overall beautiful racing. It's an honour to be a part of it. What a year. What a year it has been. I don't even know where to start looking back. Well, first of all, I think looking back, we need to just gloss over some of the champions we've had in 2024. We had Mr. Thanasi, champion in 2024. I believe at the beginning of 2024 he was champion. Either that or it was at the end of last year. I can't remember. The point is the champions we've had this year, one of which was Season 15's champion, crowned in May. On the final week of Season 15 was a certain Alpine driver. I don't know who it was. Couldn't tell you. But an Alpine driver won the championship. Not only that, Alpine won the Constructors' Championship as well. Magico was part of that team. And I'm just saying, there's a trend going on here. Then we had a bit of a confusing one for Season 16. We had a half and half kind of situation, really. It's not like Hovis because it tasted rather bitter. Because we started on F1 23 because F1 24 was a mess. And then came actually doing F1 24. Was still a mess, but we did it anyway. And actually, it brought the racing extremely close together and caused even more chaos than imaginable. So in that regard, F1 24, thank you very much. And then came this season, Season 17. Lots of new pieces being added in left, right, and centre. Sprint races being reverse grid championship races. And then, of course, the F2 cars, where only default setups could have been used. It was up to the wile and guile of the driver to decide which default setup, I can't speak today, which default setup was indeed the most incredible. Ultimately, it was an absolutely wonderful time. Not only that, first race of the season, here's one of my feel-good moments for the season, Magico got a podium. In the F2 cars, Magico got a podium. He came so close to doing it in Season 15, has worked tirelessly with fundamentally no assists whatsoever to be able to drive the car just a little bit faster under his own steam. And you know what? The hard work has paid off throughout all of the seasons he's been doing it for. Got the podium in the first race of this season in Formula 2. And he's just been getting better and better and better as he's gone on. So well done him. Another feel-good moment, J-Lane winning the Bahrain Grand Prix. I remember that one. It was utterly dominant. J-Lane absolutely demolished everyone. That was a statement drive. And then, of course, the feel-good was him recovering from surgery and being able to rejoin us. I am so glad that was the case. What other feel-good moments were there? Probably not Abu Dhabi, because Terziak will feel like he was shot through the heart, and I don't blame him. I really do not blame him at all for that, because it was not a fun time. I mean, every race was just chaos. I could go on for hours and hours and hours about all of the crazy moments and all of the defining flashes in the pan from each driver this season. Big Sam also got a podium or two in this season. He got one in Spain. It was either last season or this season, but he did get a podium. And he's constantly been going well on F1 24. Now, here's the first thing. Question. Karl, are you commentating Blackout next season? The answer to that is... maybe. My intention next season is to drive next season. Although, I will admit, I'll probably be on a controller because I cannot be bothered to do it on a wheel. Because every time I have played it on a wheel, I have felt nothing but hatred. And I've wanted to kick a small woodlouse. So, I'll be doing it on a controller. Don't expect miracles from me. But the point is, it will be fun. And I intend to have fun doing all of this again. That's the intention. We shall see what happens. But ultimately, I intend to drive. If not, I'll be back. And you'll see me around. If not, I'll be commentating on a bunch of other bits and pieces that I will tell you about. So that's fine. If I am not commentating, speaking of which, segue... I have a bunch of bits and pieces that I am commentating on. First of all, New Year's Day. Mark the date because I am commentating St Albans City Football Club in the National League South. They have had a torrid time. I was going to say a bit. It's not a bit. It really has been a torrid time for them. They've sacked their manager. They're struggling to find form and any crumb of consistency. But, yeah, I'm commentating on New Year's Day. So, New Year, a chance to turn over a new leaf and perhaps some slightly better bearings for the St Albans City Football Club. We shall soon find out. Other bits and pieces, I'm doing FO5 Esports. I might be doing it on Wednesday. I don't know yet if I am, but I have done it on Thursdays previously. That's at 9 o'clock UK time. And the conversions for that are, I don't care, you do it yourself. But I'm doing FO5 Esports now, which has got Division 1, which has got a bunch of sweaty drivers and occasionally some big personalities join the fray too. Speaking of big personalities, I do the Creator Series as well. Used to do F2, I say used to because it doesn't exist anymore, which is a shame. I did a rant about this the other week because the F124 game has just stopped any kind of other bits and pieces being done and being brought to the forefront, which is really sad, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Either way, I am still part of that team, and I look forward to doing, hopefully, some not only F1 broadcasts, but maybe even a WRC broadcast on a break week. It will be a fun one. I can promise you that much. Who knows what else is round the corner? That it will remain to be seen. All that remains for me to say is thank you. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for following all the action. Thank you for tuning in every week. Thank you for all of the kind words. Magico says they are working out the sheet. I can tell you now, I know who's won in both categories. It's I can tell you who's won. I can tell you how many points they have. So, well, I mean, Merck in that last race scored. I need to get an eraser out. Oh no, because it's going to get rid of the background. Oh, well, don't care. That's a skill issue I'll deal with later. So, let me just paintbrush it quickly. This is the paint.net thing here. That's not going great, really. So there you go. There you go. White background. Nothing to see. And to screen. Here we are. Now, here's what they were on before, ladies and gentlemen. At the bottom there, you can see happy face and smiley face, respectively. So, as you will all remember, Mercedes. So I'm going to, me and Ma. You can tell who those are. I don't care. So, Mercedes had 683 points. Magico was in 11th, scoring 5. He then got promoted to 10th as a result of Thanasi's slight cock-up. So he gets 6 points. Tim Alele in 2nd place got 24 points. So 30 points. That is 713 points. McLaren, 658. Milo got 20. And Buck57 got 11. That equals a grand total of 689 points, thus making Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula 1 team, or I'll be honest, that's not how I expected that to look, but it makes them Constructors Champions. That looks like more like a face. Why did I bother drawing? This is why I don't do art. That's terrible. That is absolutely right. No, I'm never seeing that again. But that's the story. Like I was saying, though, all that remains for me to say is thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for following. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for keeping up with everything I do, whether that's here, whether that's on Creator Series, whether that's on football. I love you all to pieces. You are the reason I do what I do. And so thank you. Thank you for bringing me all of the chats, all of the action, all of the thoughts and opinions. It's been a hell of a year. It has been one wild ride. And it wouldn't have been possible without these guys. The Blackout Racing League, Blackout Gaming. Where do I even start? My gratitude for them is absolutely infinite and then some. They are the reason I do all of the stuff I do outside of this. The football, the FO5, the Creator Series, and everything else I will do besides. It is because of them. They gave me the opportunity. They allowed me to commentate. They have continued to allow me to commentate for them every single week. And I'd rather be doing nothing else. It's a wonderful time. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you all so much. Blackout remains undefeated. I love you all to bits. You are the best, honestly. You're welcome, Terziak. Much love to you too, my friend. Hopefully we go again next season. Well, we will go again next season. I can guarantee you that. But driving or commentating, I don't know yet. We shall soon see. It's been an honour and a pleasure, though. It's always an honour and a pleasure to be your commentator. But it's been an honour and a pleasure in 2024 to be your Blackout Racing League commentator. And long may it continue into 2025. A new year, new opportunities, New champions on the horizon? That's the question. We shall soon find out. Thank you all so much for watching this round of the Blackout Racing League. Thank you always for watching the Blackout Racing League. If you did enjoy and you haven't yet, consider following. Click the follow button down below. I know you're ISP. I will find you. This isn't a joke. This isn't a test. Follow it. And then once you've done that, go to my YouTube, KarlsCars. There's a commentary playlist. Once you subscribed, all of the Blackout stuff will be there. I'm off work. I'm literally going to upload. I'm spent all week uploading. That's all I'm going to be doing. But, yeah, that's where it will be. Commentary playlist. You can keep up not only with this series, but with all the series of Blackout that there have ever been that I have commentated. It's a barrel of fun, and I'm sure you will enjoy it just as much as, if not more, than I have. But a big salute to 2024. For me personally, a fantastic little year. And roll on 2025, where the opportunities will surely be even bigger and even brighter. And I hope that is exactly the same for all of you. A Merry Christmas to you all. Well wishes for the new year ahead. But until next time, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And until next time, I bid you good night and goodbye. Love you all. Thank you.